Hello, and welcome to Bandstand, the official podcast of the Tennessee Bandmasters Association. I'm your host, David Adelit, and I hope you'll join us on a journey through the past, present, and future of bands in Tennessee. We'll delve into the rich history of Tennessee bands, uncovering the hidden gems and legendary figures who shaped the state's band landscape. We'll survey the present, where you'll meet the movers and shakers of today, gaining insights from their expertise and experiences. And we'll gaze towards the future, exploring the exciting possibilities that await Tennessee's school bands. So today our guest is Barry Krause, and Barry's going to talk to us about an exciting event that's happening at Belmont this year. So Barry, take it away. Welcome to the podcast.
Hey, thanks, David, for the opportunity to be on the podcast. This is a wonderful opportunity to talk about what we're doing at Belmont. And one of the opportunities I'm going to discuss is the Belmont Regional Wind Band Festival, which we instituted this year for the first time. And as you remember, we used to host an invitational clinic, and you, in your term as director of bands at Franklin, attended that at one point and brought your group. And we always thought that was a focused day where students and directors had an opportunity to work with a guest clinician and have opportunity to hear one another and spend some focus time to do some things related to band that did not involve an assessment or some type of rating. So what we've done, there are a couple of reasons that we did this. One, I've always wanted to expand our model because I think Belmont's poised in a part of Nashville that's central to everyone, and we're able to help groups that want to come and be with us and be on campus. And two, the TMEA State Concert Festival is no longer in existence. That went away about a year or two ago. And we thought if we put this right around the end of CPA, groups that want that opportunity to come and spend a day on campus and be in an environment that's educationally motivated with a great set of clinicians. Richard and Cheryl Floyd are going to be with us, and they're two of the best in the country. And have that opportunity to just focus on getting better without the thought in the back of the head, of what am I going to get as a one or two, and how's that going to affect my, my perception as a director. And I think later in the day, I'll talk about that too. I think I'm going to join you and Ollie later about my research and, what I found. Directors have that, constant fear of, well, what if I don't get a first division, and, what will be my reality, and how do people perceive what I do and my reputation and all of that. So anyway, that'll be an interesting discussion. But back to our festival idea, I think it's going to be a wonderful opportunity that I hope will take off. We have 6 groups that have signed up, ranging from, we have a couple of country, small area groups that are away from metropolitan areas. And I think this is going to
love that.
And then we have a few groups that are kind of central metropolitan, affluent areas that will have a strong presentation to come visit. So I think we'll have a variety of those ensembles with varied skill levels. And I'm pretty excited about the opportunity to do this. And I'm hoping that eventually we can expand it to a 2 or maybe a 3-day affair. Ideally, we don't have access to the new Performing Arts Center, but I'm hoping if this grows, that might be a possibility in the future, because I think that would be a huge attractant to come participate in the event. What I did find this year is that it's relatively new, and we put the deadline in September. And a lot of groups put out their schedule for their ensembles during band camp in July. And I think that we missed a few. I talked with a few in the area, from some strong programs that did not apply because it didn't meet their schedule and they couldn't get it in time. So I think next year I'm probably going to put the application date in June or July so people can do that and then know that they can put it on their schedule for the coming year and make plans with their administration to do that. I know that administration is tight as well. So a few other things related to that. One of the reasons we're doing this is that I'm getting feedback from other directors. I've talked to a few in the area. And this is not to say that CPA is not an important process. I think it's a long-standing tradition. I think it's important to go get that feedback from professionals and participate in that process and go through the process of sight reading and making that happen. That doesn't happen at a festival like ours, the sight reading process. So I think it's an important step in the development of the program. But I do sense that people are craving an opportunity to go work in an environment that doesn't have that threat of assessment. attached to it. They want that feedback and a feel-good approach to here's how you get better, and let's be honest and talk objectively about what you can do with your program to make that stronger in the future. So I think that's where we're headed with all of this, and I'm hoping that it will take off. And certainly it is competitive. Right now we have 2 open spots, and the first 2 groups that apply will qualify by application. Then we'll take those groups. But we are after 2 additional spots to fill. But I'm hoping that in the future, this will be a competitive process that will have a lot of weight for groups that apply. There is a cost associated with it. It is $500, which I think is reasonable. Many of these Music for All affiliate events across the country have a fee per student that gets very expensive when you put that all together. And what we're doing is a flat fee of $500. I think the TMEA State Concert Festival was $300, $350, something like that. So we're trying to make it affordable. And I did talk with a few in the state from around the region, East, Middle, and West, before we implemented this to see if it would go. And I got a lot of positive feedback. Yes, I'd be interested in doing that. And that price point sounds like it is manageable for our budget. So that's kind of where we are. And I'm hoping this will take off and be an event that serves Tennessee and regions beyond.
Do you have to be a grade 6 band to come to your festival?
No, absolutely not. No, actually, we've got a very small rural program that has just kind of come into its own and has started to get some momentum. And this ensemble will probably have 35 students in it. So you do not need to be a grade 6 band. We listen to application recordings. I think there are 3 recordings that you submit as part of the application process, which is online. And there's no fee to apply. If you're accepted, then there's a fee to participate.
Yeah.
So no, we're not limited. And honestly, it is competitive because we want the best groups to apply. But at the same time, we want to cater to groups that are in that range where they're looking for that next step to get better and move on to that next step in excellence.
Yeah, a thing for me and Renee, because we're both from rural areas, is what can we do to expand the reach of our associations, whether it's TMEA or MTSBOA or TBA or West Tennessee or whatever, to those rural areas? Because if I haven't seen the data from West Tennessee or East Tennessee, I would suspect that it's similar to Middle Tennessee. If you look at the number of kids that make mid-state band, and if you look at the groups that come to Concert Festival and do well, it's just so centered around the Nashville area. It's the suburbs of Nashville. There's a few outliers, like Tullahoma obviously is an outlier to that. And there's a significant representation in Clarksville. But like the area that I'm from which is like the south central area around Dixon, Columbia. Yeah. It's just a challenge there because there's not a strong university in that area. And that so oftentimes I think drives a lot of the students' access to high level instruction and experiences and things like this. And so I hope that groups will not shy away from coming to an event like this, that they'll take the leap to come and participate and be around that environment, because that's how we get better, right? It's being exposed to that really high level environment. It gives you hope, right? It gives you the hope to maybe I can do that too.
Absolutely, yeah, and I think areas like Dixon and Waverly and those areas in between the 3 kind of metropolitan areas in the state, Knoxville, Memphis, and Nashville, kind of get lost. And an hour away is just far enough where it's inconvenient to drive and come see a concert and come to a clinic and just be a part of something on campus unless you're here for a few days. So those programs get lost in the shuffle. There's a lot of gray area between those areas. Regional areas that we don't often get served, and they do get kind of isolated there in terms of literature. And I've been looking at I collected all the CPA programs from Middle, East, and West, which let me tell you is a challenge.
I can't wait to hear that conversation later.
I talked with Jenny DeAndrea, and she had just little bits and pieces, and I just assembled the entire 2023 program listing from little bits of paper and things and scraps that I got. So, and it's interesting looking at that because you kind of see trends in programming and what people are playing in rural areas, and the access to quality middle school pieces and the ability to perform those, given the sight reading requirements for CPA, often limit people from experiencing repertoire at a, medium or high level in terms of quality pieces.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's interesting, and there's a lot of anecdotal kind of assumed lore around CPA and what we do. And when you go to these events, you hear the experienced longtime directors talking about, oh yeah, back in the day, we had to manage, people playing pieces that were not suitable, and now there's a state required list, and and that's another process that has just recently been added. That's relatively new. So I think, in terms of education and directors having opportunities to explore new literature and, and state list and go, what can I play that's not Brian Belmages or Randall Standridge? Because those are the two most popular composers this year. And that's not a bad thing. That those composers are terrific and their music is good. But we tend to trend toward things that are safe and, find those opportunities to play what everyone else is playing. And we end up with these trending pieces and composers that kind of, monopolize the list.
Yeah.
So I think just exposure to other pieces and some of those pieces that kind of live in the dark corners of the state list that are really good that no one plays anymore. Those gems that are out there that probably need to be looked at again. So yeah, I think there's a lot of opportunity with an event like this to reach people in that way and really kind of broaden the knowledge of rep and what we're doing in the state.
If I'm a kid in one of your bands, what can I expect to experience that day at Belmont?
Yeah, if you come, you're going to arrive. You'll be issued to a warm-up room, well, not a warm, but a storage room, and you'll store your materials. You'll come out. You'll see 3 different performances that day, including Belmont Wind Ensemble. So we're going to play a performance for all the students in attendance. So the hall will be full of 8 ensembles, so roughly 400, 500 students and directors. So there will be performances throughout the day. Each group will see 3. And you will see a performance by the Belmont Wind Ensemble at 1. And then, so the group comes on stage, does their warm-up on stage, and then they give their performance. This will be professionally recorded, so they'll get a high-quality recording that they can use for a festival application or something else, or just growth purposes. And then they stay on stage, and either Richard or Cheryl Floyd will come up and give a clinic related to their repertoire. And, if you've never experienced a clinic setting with Richard or Cheryl Floyd, you haven't lived. Those people are so intuitive and they've seen it all and they know how to talk to groups in a very encouraging way and give feedback that is very helpful. So I'm very much looking forward to the opportunity for people to experience their pedagogy. And then there is opportunity to eat on campus. Our university dining hall is one of the finest in the region, and see our beautiful campus in a time when the tulips are blooming and the campus looks pretty amazing. So yeah, I think it'll be a really rewarding day. And for those groups coming in from out of town, there's an opportunity. We're going to provide a list of things to do. The whole Broadway area downtown has really grown. Eateries and places to see, the Country Music Hall of Fame. So we're going to try to create some opportunities for people coming in to make a day out of this for their students and parents. When they come and see 3 groups perform, afterward they can go have dinner somewhere, or if they come in the afternoon, they can spend the morning doing something else edifying in Nashville. So I'm hoping that this will take off and will be kind of a hub for people wanting that experience in a metropolitan area that's really booming.
Yeah, that's a great location for that, certainly. Can you talk? I love the idea about the groups getting to listen to each other. Can you talk a little bit about that and the decision that went into that and what kids can get out of that experience?
That's standard at most music for all festivals, and I think the TMEA State Concert Festival required that groups stay and listen to at least the one before and the one after. Not sure how that worked, but I think that's important for students to hear other groups and to hear groups that are stronger than they are and go, I had no idea, particularly for a school like, the Hickman County. If you come from an area that's kind of isolated there, you come in and you hear a group and you realize when you get an audio, an auditory example in your mind of what a really strong band sounds like, it changes your perspective for directors and for students. So for students to come and hear that, something that's, beyond what they're capable of doing is really motivating. And then you get kids that want to take power of their own experience and go, why can't we do that? Or can we play that
Hmm.
piece? They take that with them. And that's often the propellant that kind of moves things forward in an area. When you get a strong motivation from the students that want to do that, and you're able to move them forward because now they have an understanding of here's the next level. And they just have never heard that before.
Yep. That was my experience because I'm from Hickman County. So uh, I got to go to the first governor's school back in 1985. And that was an incredible experience for me. My life pivoted that summer. I didn't know it at the time, but it did because I got to be around those kids from uh, that were used to being around all-state players. And I realized they weren't that much different than me. Like
Yeah.
there wasn't anything that was stopping me from becoming more than what I thought I could be, perhaps. And I think that works on a group and ensemble level too. Like they're just kids, they have biology just like you do. It's just there's a few circumstances that may be different, but expectations for ourselves so oftentimes sort of decide what our outcomes are going to be. And so for those kids to hear those other groups that'll be great. I'm really, really glad that's a part of your festival. So the panel is both the Floyds. Is that the
Both
panel?
Floyds. Yeah, and it will be the two of them rotating between the ensembles. I've talked to a few other directors at other institutions that host MFA festivals, and they're like, "Don't be a clinician; you've got too much to do." So,
Yeah.
I will be there and interact with those groups, and I'm looking forward to meeting those students and directors. But I will be kind of on the sideline until the wind ensemble plays, and we'll be supporting the efforts of Richard and Cheryl as they work with the groups.
I'm assuming your Belmont students are going to help with organization and flow and logistics and whatnot too, right?
Certainly, I couldn't do it without them. We have some very strong music education majors that are going to participate in that. And they will be greeters, taking groups from one place to another, and they'll be assisting with logistics throughout the day, taking the Floyds back and forth to the hotel. And my colleague George Shannon will be assisting. And I don't know if anyone here has met George. A few in the local region have. But George is a Florida State grad, did his doctoral degree at the University of South Florida, and he joined us maybe 3 years ago now as a faculty fellow and took over the pep band and is teaching some of our music education courses. He's a fantastic conductor, so he'll be there throughout the day too. And he's another very strong music faculty member that will engage with the public here through this event and many others. So I hope that people will get a chance to meet him as well.
That's great. That's wonderful. And it's wonderful for your Belmont students too. It just to be able to sit in on those clinics and watch what the Floyds have to offer and listen to their commentary and the way they go about speaking to students is just incredible. Right? Because they're not just. I even feel silly saying this because of who they are, but there's so much subtext to the way they give feedback. It's not just the thing that they say, it's how they say it and what the context of it is that creates this expectation for students. And so that's great for your Belmont kids. And also, I mean, just logistically, learning how to be a band director is so much about, the organization, how to make an effective map,
Right.
things
No,
like this. Like
there's no
that's a
question.
great event for those students to learn how to sort of do the thing, So that's
Right, right.
wonderful.
Yeah, and those groups will be they'll come well prepared and they'll play very well. And for a student getting ready to go out from student teaching and take a first job, you listen to that at that level in your career and you go, what would I say?
Yeah.
That's pretty good. And there's always something to address. And if you got all the technical things taken care of, then you address the musical and philosophical things. And I think that's where Richard and Cheryl Floyd live in that area. They're able to think about, as you say, contextualize a comment in a way that really makes one think and draws them in. So I think that'll be fantastic.
Yep. Okay, so you got two spots left. Are you willing to say who the groups are? Because I'd like to ask that question if that's okay.
The participating groups so far, the 6 groups that have signed up to participate are Thompson Station Middle School, Christopher Colio, White House Heritage High School, Tanner West. He's a new director there. And he's a local student. He went to Antioch High School. So, and then Houston County High School, William Hoekstra, Grassland Middle School, Nick Blue, Page Middle School, Evan Burton, and Montgomery Central, Vanessa Cobb. So we're pretty excited about those groups, and they all submitted very strong recordings. And there are things in recordings from a rural school that are just natural to that student hasn't had that experience.
Yep.
And we're looking forward to having those groups here and benefiting from the day.
I love that there's a wide swath there. So, what does this do for Belmont? What is this? How is this an advantage for your school?
This is a terrific advantage for our school. You've known me and you've known the history of Belmont. When I came here, Belmont did not have a strong reputation in the region, and very few students would come here to study instrumental music. Most came here to study general music and went out. That's wonderful because we need those people in the profession, dedicated elementary music teachers. But at the same time, our instrumental program has developed in a way where we put out some very strong graduates. And what this does for us is draw students to our facilities and our programs, hear the ensemble, interact with our faculty, and find a way to maybe connect with Belmont in a way that they didn't know. So it's an exposure to what we do here, in the hopes that in the long run, they will look at a possibility of attending here as a music major or possibly not. Belmont, as you know, is the cost to attend Belmont is pretty high, but there is good financial assistance available for students through academic and music scholarships. And Belmont is, for those students looking for it, is on a mission to become the world, or the nation's premier Christian university. What's happening here right now in terms of just spirituality and connecting with academia and developing one's person internally is very strong. There's a very strong mission here, and I think it's affecting our students and our faculty, and it just bleeds into everything that we do in rehearsals, regular classwork, interactions with students and peers and colleagues. So I think that is, if the students are looking for that opportunity to really develop themselves in a place that develops integrity and character and moral. Belmont's really a strong institution that will not lose touch of that. I went to a state school and I didn't get that at a state school. So to come here and really see the Christian mission implemented on a daily basis is a pretty important process, and pretty remarkable in what we're doing. So I think for us, it's a recruiting mission to expose students to a lot of those opportunities. And if I have a second, I'll also plug that we have a summer music camp. And this year, it's called the Summer Winds Band Camp. You're aware of it, and I think many others sent students here. And we often get those students from the Hickman County or rural areas that can come and stay on campus for a week and not have to drive back and forth. So that's an opportunity to reach people outside of our metropolitan area and expand our reach a little bit. But yes, all of those events are interested, in terms of recruiting and exposing students and, and connecting directors with what we do here in the hopes that we can go out and help and serve them in the community as well.
I'm so interested in that idea of a designed culture, which is, I think, kind of what you're talking about with not just what you do, but the way you do it and the why that you do it. So can you talk a little bit more about what that can be like for students when they're around other colleagues and peers that support them? You talked about the Christian mission. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, and I think treat people as you wish to be treated. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. I mean, those simple anecdotes are really kind of at the heart of what we do here. I'll harken back to my approach over the years as a director has gone from authoritarian to humanistic. I realize now the students coming in have, many of them have a myriad of, issues dealing with anxiety or depression or unable to cope. I'll tell you my COVID babies, as I call them, the ones that came in the fall of 20. I had many discussions with other colleagues about what's wrong with the senior class. Why am I doing? I've taught the same curriculum this way for this many years, and it's different. So I think meeting students' needs and getting past your own agenda and your ego, and really finding like the student came to study here with me and the faculty, so I have to help them in any way I can and understand and meet them halfway. So we had a student that was missing rehearsal pretty frequently this last fall semester, and I would email, no response. I would finally have to track them down after rehearsal and just stay with them and say, come with me to my office, let's have a conversation. what's going on? Are you okay? It's not, why'd you miss rehearsal? As you and I would have had from one
Yeah.
of our directors, like, what's wrong with you? Get your act together. And what we do here is based on helping people in difficult circumstances. So, and other students were like, why don't you drop the hammer on that person? And I'm like, that's not what we do here.
Yeah.
We have to approach it in a way with grace and integrity, and that person is struggling. So here's what we're going to do. And I think things turned out to be the best they possibly could. But, fear and intimidation doesn't work in modern times, as it did with us. I'm here because somebody kicked me in the rear end and just made me get better. All my undergraduate mentors. But in that case, it's difficult for me to adjust to that, but I think I've changed that model. And that's, I don't go into the classroom and quote scripture, but we do pray. We have opportunities. We lost a student at Belmont this last year. I think you were aware of that. And one of the students came to me before rehearsal and said, could we take a moment and just pray? And we did. We had a moment of silence and we prayed, and everybody enjoyed that and had an opportunity to say something if they wanted. And that's not something we get to do at an institution that's not, focused on Christian identity. So for me, my colleagues are just first rate. Do I disagree with my colleagues? You betcha. Yeah, we have some pretty strong disagreements and we debate about things. But at the heart of things, I think those people would have my back if there was a situation where they needed to support me. And some of my best friends are my colleagues here at Belmont University, and they're just wonderful people.
And you've had a lot to do this past year with tapping into your orchestral skills.
Yeah, well, we could talk about that. Yeah. What I learned is that string playing and wind playing is not too different in terms of basic pedagogy. So I asked the violins, can you leave the bow on the string to the rest? And oh, okay, just little things like that. Can we start together? Can you detach? And just listening for those things as we would with wind articulation or fingerings or the vertical alignment of things, just getting things together. But yeah, that was a hurry up and let's get busy. And I had 5 rehearsals to kind of push toward the concert. Rob had already prepared the most of it. And I had 5 rehearsals to put together Pines of Rome, and which is not, there's a lot in that piece. And young orchestra this year. But what the most important thing for me to do, talking about the Christian identity at Belmont, was to continue to support Rob's work. And I had to look at it like that. It was, there was a little bit of ego boost for me that was fun, but I think to take what he had built here for 40 years and push it forward in his absence and keep it going was a reward for me. So that when he got back in January, he'll be back this spring, so he's doing well, making a lot of progress. But yeah, to be able to do that for him and then have him come back and finish out his retirement year, I think was a big reward for all of us. So, but yeah, that was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it, and the rep was interesting. And what I found is, string players like up. So instead of down. So with band players, you give the downbeat and you're right with the conductor. And string players need everything up or right before they play or double beating, or they respond in a very different way. So I found that to be kind of perplexing, just staying ahead of them and kind of, I guess, shepherding the herd a little bit and getting all those strings to play together. So it was fun. And the colleagues are very supportive. And, we performed at Christmas at Belmont, and that was very thrilling, and people enjoyed that process. But I am very glad to hand that back over to my colleague so he can live his glory semester out and retire in a bang.
For those that don't know, the longtime director of orchestras at Belmont, Dr. Rob Gregg, had a stroke this past fall, so Dr. Krause had to fill in for that. Can you talk a little bit about, I try to ask this question a lot, can you talk a little bit about doing something before you're ready? Trying to jump into something before maybe you're really ready for it. I'm thinking about the groups that might be hesitant to apply for your festival because they think, oh, I'm not ready yet. So can you talk a little bit about that? And do you see that with your students? And how do you try to deal with, what do you think about that? This is the worst question on a podcast that's ever been.
I because you and I both live that. we've lived those experiences, and we know that if you wait until you're ready and you think you've got all the details in place, you're going to miss a lot of opportunities. So sometimes you just have to push it forward and apply and see what you're made of. And rejections are part of the process. So if, for instance, we filled up and an application wasn't accepted, it would be because we're already full. But yeah, I think I've had plenty of rejections in my life with conference applications and article submissions, conference things, this and that. Like you don't get everything you want, but at the same time, you have to push yourself forward because that one opportunity comes and you're the right person at the right time, and you're there and accepted because of merit or just being in the right place. And I think that's important that people take advantage of that opportunity. So if there's a group out there that's thinking, we're just not ready. We're just this, kind of medium program. We haven't excelled. We don't have a resume of success. We're not grand national champions of BOA, and we didn't win contest of champions. So we're here. And they tend to judge themselves as we're not worthy. But I would say that's the mindset that all of those other directors avoided. They took advantage of the opportunities and they went forward and they pushed themselves and they found an opportunity to move forward or get feedback. And when you do that, sometimes you get feedback. Oh, well, maybe I'll do that next time.
Yeah.
And I'll change this about my tact. But that's the only way to get better, is by putting yourself in uncomfortable positions.
Yes.
And it may be that the feedback you get is not what you wanted to hear, but that's
how you learn, and that's how you
exactly
grow.
Right. And even at this stage, like I ask people that I'm close to, like, what do you think of this? My very good friends, like, what do you think of this? And they're like, well, on the outside, people would hear it and go, that's pretty good. That sounds amazing. But, then somebody who's done it for years, I've got a few good friends. Greg Snyder and I spend a lot of time together. He's got some good ears and knows what a band sounds like and has heard them all. And, he'll give me feedback that's really honest. And I don't get offended by that because we're friends. It's like, yeah, you're right. I need to do that. Or pay attention to that next time. Or I listen to a recording and go, wow, if I just spent a little more time on that, that would have been better. And it's different with the repertoire, it's different with the season, it's different with the kind of speech you have. So the landscape is constantly shifting, and you just have to kind of take into account what you're working with and then take the opportunity when it comes. So otherwise you'll miss those opportunities in your career.
And that mindset works for you as a university conductor, but would also work for a middle school band director in the middle of nowhere, Tennessee. It's that philosophy is fractal. It works on every different level, and that's the key to growth is trying and not being afraid of that perception of failure. That's
well, I to add to that, I think in this day and age, you and I didn't have this. We just had to go hear groups. But in this day and age, social media propels a lot of perception about what people are doing and how successful they are and what they're achieving in their career. And I think, some people get beaten down by that because they see other peers appearing to do many wonderful things and having it. It's just, it's they're photographing it all and putting it on social media, so, and announcing these experiences. So, the thing is, grow where you're planted and, find opportunities to develop to the highest level what you have at your charge, and take advantage of opportunities to continue to get better. And, you have to kind of keep all that in check. What's right for somebody else or what someone else is achieving or doing is not the marker of your success. So, do what you do in the context that you're given, and, continue to. That's the way to get better, is to continue to be centrally focused.
Yes. Okay. What else, Dr. Krause?
Let's see. Come see a concert anytime. They're all free. They're online. Of course, Belmont, if you want to come visit, come see a rehearsal, please come and visit us. This is a real thrill to be on this podcast. So I hope this is useful to people, and I hope they'll enjoy the content and will come visit us. But it's good to get together with you again. We've known each other for some time and connect a little bit, and hoping we can get together on a social level at some point and just solve all the problems. And and talk about what's happening in Tennessee.
I'll just listen to you solve them. I'm just a retired old band director now, so
oh no,
I don't have any of the answers. I just have a lot of questions.
With knowledge, Mr. Adelit. So.
Thanks so much to Dr. Barry Krause for coming on the podcast today to talk about this upcoming festival on April the 6th. It's the Belmont University Regional Wind Band Festival. You can Google it if you're interested in applying for those last 2 spots, or you can just email Dr. Krause at barry.krause@belmont.edu. Thanks for listening to Bandstand. If you have topic suggestions or need to get in touch with us, email us at tbabandstandpodcast@gmail.com. Your input is important to us, and if you have a topic you'd like us to discuss about the past, present, or future of Tennessee bands, please let us know. Again, that email is tbabandstandpodcast@gmail.com. Right now, we're broadcasting on Spotify and YouTube, so please subscribe, review, and rate. Box 5, please. And more importantly, share this podcast with your friends. See you next week.